Tommy Day, obviously just no good. What sort of symptoms is he still battling with?
He had a bit of a headache after the game, obviously, and that's just sort of continued. And so he went through the normal concussion protocol, and unfortunately, he wasn't showing enough signs of improving significantly enough to be ready for the game. So hopefully it's only 1 week. He's up and about, he's moving better now, but it was just a bit of a reach too far for him this week. Whereas Lockie Murphy was the opposite. He sort of came out of it really well, passed his concussion test and all good and trained and feels good.
You pretty much answered it there, but it's not a worry going forward there for Tom?
No, I don't think so.
Taylor Walker does come back in.
Yep.
How good is it to have a captain back?
Yeah, fantastic. Obviously disappointing to lose him last week after the incident against Geelong, but getting your captain back is always a good thing, and his leadership and direction down forward is going to be important for us tomorrow night.
How does Tom's absence affect the backline and the makeup of it? Jack Kelly, perhaps?
Yeah, well, look, we've probably had a couple of extra backs. Jake's played a little bit on wing in the last couple of weeks as well. So with Jake, we know he can do that. We've got McGovern can also play back, so we'll have a look at what the best structure is. But Kyle Cheney's played some good footy down there anyway in the last 4 or 5 weeks. So Tom's been outstanding this year in terms of his form and his performance and stuff. So he'll be missed, but I'm confident the guys down there will be able to get it done.
Given how your forward line's been operating, obviously with Tex coming back, does that give you the opportunity to play set, to push McGovern back as that intercept marking defender, that something that Tom's done really well?
Yeah, well, that's an option we've got, and then we know that Mitch gives us that flexibility, and he clearly needed the run last week, and we're pretty confident he'll be better for that. We know the quality of the player and what he brings to our side, so that gives us some flexibility, because as you know, that Mitch has done that in the past for us, so we'll have a look at that.
How do you juggle the balance then, Don, between needing to use him to kick an effective score and then solidifying the back line?
Well, it's not so much solidifying the back line. I'm really confident the guys we've got down there. As I said, with Tom going out, we've got Jake Kelly who can shift back into that space. And really, if you look at Melbourne's forward line, they've got obviously Hogan and McDonald who are good, strong, contested marking players, and then a couple of more medium-sized guys in Melksham and Petrarca. So they've got a dangerous forward line with some quality in it. But from a size viewpoint, it's not like they've got 3 big talls down there that we have to deal with. So I'm really comfortable with the group we've got.
Taylor obviously nursing a bit of a crack. Is he okay?
Yeah, he's getting progressively better week in, week out. So it's one of those ones where as I said last week, it's not a weight bearing sort of thing. It's more just a discomfort for him, and he's been able to do a bit more training this week than he was last week, and we just expect that'll continue to progress. And he's a lot better now than he was before the game last week, or before he obviously missed the week before with it. So he's really confident.
And you're looking really more floating up forward. You've been pretty lively with the forward line there.
Yep.
Not concerned that you might be a bit too top heavy with a big fella coming back?
No, because we've got some flex with some of the guys we've got down there as well, which we can play in other roles. So we're mindful of getting the right balance. Obviously with Eddie, Murph and Gooch down there, we've got some speed and some pressure there which we need, and Gov provides that speed as well. So as much as he's a taller player, we're really comfortable with the role he can play, which is a bit of tall, small and jump at the ball. So, but we're always looking at what the right balance and mix is, and we'll continue to explore that. Yeah.
Do you think Mitch's sort of more permanent position could evolve, or is he a forward who could play a bit down back, or do you not really know where you...
I think he's shown that he's a forward. His natural leading and moving patterns are as a forward. But as I said, we've explored him down back, so it's always nice to have a guy on your side who can do a bit of both. And he's probably the one forward we've got who we think can develop into that sort of player that can probably swing from both ends.
Coaches ask a lot of players these days to be able to do them. It's hard to imagine Peter Sumich in your day going and playing across half the
Yeah, well, actually, Sumich started when his first year at the West Coast, he started as a forward, and then he played centre half back for a while. And it's probably on the basis that the ball was spending a bit of time down there, and but that was part of his education. That's often you can go down back and you learn what the best forwards do, and in case of Peter, who you mentioned, I know that he learnt through playing centre half back against some of the great centre half forwards as to what actually was needed to be a good forward. So there can be learning and education through it, but there's also positional side of things as well. And as I say, I think it's good having a player like Mitch who's got that flex.
Don, you're a great thinker of the game. You're obviously a student of it as well. What have you made of the whole rules of the game? Possible changes?
Yeah, well, look, it's clearly something that's created a fair bit of conversation and debate about leave the game alone, change the game. I think it's probably more for me how we progress the game without fundamentally changing the state of the game. I think, you know, the concepts of zones and other bits and pieces is one of those ones which I think changes the nomadic nature of the game. I understand the issue that's confronting the industry around congestion and concerns about that, but I'd still argue there's more really good games of footy than the other way. So, you know, it's a real balance there, and I think the AFL's going through a process which is thorough, which is good. How we actually trial it's probably the biggest issue, because a 20-minute trial at training gives you some information, but it won't give you a broad enough, you know, view to actually decide what change is going to create what effect. So that's the challenge, and I understand, you know, completely where the AFL is coming from and how they do that before they make those changes, because, you know, some of the changes that have been made in the past have had an unintended consequence, which have actually changed the way the game's now played, which has created some of the issues we're now confronting. So it's a really difficult, you know, conundrum, because I think everyone wants to see the game progress and everyone wants to see the game continue to get better and be this great game that allows people, you know, sort of say Lockie Murphy size through to, you know, Aaron Sandiland side play, but still provide a spectacle that is enjoyed by everyone. So I think the key for me is to accept that there's going to be some change, but at what speed that change needs to take place is really the challenge, and I think that requires some real thought, and I know they're doing a lot of work around that, and some of it can be as simple as the interpretations to the current rules as to how we change those, to give the umpires a chance to actually be simpler in terms of how they can manage the game, to allow the game to achieve, you know, what we all want, which is a great spectacle. But as I said, I'm seeing games on the weekend. I saw Geelong Melbourne last week. That's a great game of footy. So you look at that and you go, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, there was periods of congestion, but there was also high scoring, there was close game. It probably depends a little bit what you're after.
So it sounds like you're sort of urging a bit of caution then, Don.
Well, I just probably look at it and say, what is the process around what change is going to be made, and really be clear what it looks like and what you want to achieve. And I think that's what the AFL is going through. And the pleasing part is they're getting a whole range of input from players, coaches, you know, obviously, you know, stakeholders within the game, to reach those conclusions. So again, I think everyone has a view. In these things, everyone's going to have a view. It's probably beholden on them as if you like the custodians of the game to make a decision which is a smart decision, which is going to achieve what ultimately the game requires. And that's really quite a big issue, because some of the changes maybe in the past have led us to a point where we've got a slightly different look than maybe we would have wanted. So I'll leave that with the AFL. I've got enough on my plate, to be honest, and trying to knock over Melbourne tomorrow night.
Is there any specific changes in the past you're referring to that you think about unintended consequences?
Well, I think some of the things are regarding sort of the prior opportunity, holding the ball, illegal disposal, has just created, you know, this concept whereby we always want to have the game protect the guy who goes and gets the ball and give him an opportunity to do something with it. So we don't want a game where if I get the ball and I'm sweated on and I don't dispose of it, I lose the right to retain the ball. But that's now created this, I get the ball, someone tackles me, the ball comes out, it's play on, someone else gets tackled, you know, and then it sort of rolls around. As well as I think what's happening a little bit is that because the umpires want to keep the game going and they've been almost encouraged over the years to have less stoppages, they'll keep that rolling until the ball comes out. But often the ball's not really moving in any formal fashion in terms of kick or handball. It's really just spill ball onto spill ball onto spill ball. So, you know, that's probably what happened when we went down the path of saying, well, let's have less ball ups. So you're either holding the ball or just let it out and let it go, and that's created a little bit of that. So that's probably an example of what I'm talking about.
With regard to Melbourne tomorrow night, how closely, if at all, have you looked at what happened in Alice Springs and gone over that this week at all?
No, I haven't really gone over that too much, to be honest. Probably leave that one behind. I'm not sure that was going to help us.
Yeah, okay, in terms of learnings you take from that.
Yeah, well, I think what we learnt that Melbourne's, you know, clearly a very good side and played very well, as poorly as we played, but probably more their style of play, which hasn't fundamentally changed from there. And you know, watching them in the last few weeks, you know, clearly, you know, they value highly the contest, and that's an area we want to be strong in. They move the ball with speed, and generally try and use the corridor. So you know, that's been their mode. That's when they played their best footy, and we saw a bit of that at Alice Springs. But tomorrow night's a different game.
Different team too, with the players in that day.
Yeah. I'd be surprised and very disappointed if we played like that again tomorrow night.
No problems in your last training with captain front?
No, nothing major.
From a leadership perspective, obviously you got all four of your leaders back on deck now with Sloaney and Tex.
Yep.
Lynch, you made a coach. How important is that, given you had obviously a bit of a leadership dearth at one stage of the season?
Oh, it's obviously ideal. You have your leaders playing footy and leading as they do on field. I mean, there's leadership sitting around in a meeting on a Monday morning talking about review of games and how it goes. But then the on-ground leadership, which is really where it comes to the fore, and we saw that 3 weeks ago with Tex against West Coast, and his impact on the game was significant. I think we saw it against Geelong with Rory Sloane around the ball, and his sort of passion and drive for the contest, which really set a strong example. And that's what our leaders do, is they set an example on field which allows others to follow. And it's great having them all on the same team, all in good form, and all looking forward to doing what we need to do, which is keep winning games of footy to play at the serious end of the season. And that's what tomorrow night becomes for us. It becomes another opportunity to move ourselves forward towards playing finals.
Should Tom do that when the Rising Star?
Oh, that's not really for me to decide. I mean, he's had a great year, but the process of how they vote on that is the process. I've been wrapped for what he's done. I've been, as I said before, it's been a reward for a great lot of work that he's done over the pre-season. So I'm sure he's in the mix. I'd expect he'd be in the mix, but we'll wait and see where the voting pans out.